You walk out back on a warm August evening, and there he is, working at that same spot behind his ear. The one he tore raw back in spring. You remember it healing. You remember the fur coming back in thin and patchy and never quite filling. And now it's pink again, weeping a little at the edge. He's been at it since you let him out. You crouch down and lift the ear flap to look closer. And there it is, that smell. Sour and faintly sweet at the same time, like bread dough gone over. The skin under there isn't just red, it's gone thick and a little gray, almost leathery, darker than the skin around it. That's not a fresh scrape. A fresh scrape is angry and clean. This is something older that came back wearing the same coat it wore last time. You've been here before. The vet visit in the spring. The bottle of medicated shampoo on the shelf by the back door. The 2 good weeks where the scratching stopped and you thought you'd beaten it. And here you are in August, crouched in the same spot, looking at the same ear. Most folks treat the part they can see. The dog is itchy, so you reach for the itch wash. Somebody told you that once and it stuck, and you half remember it as knowledge. It isn't. It's a guess that worked well enough one time to feel like a fact. And the reason that guess holds on so tight is simple. The wash works for 2 weeks. 2 good weeks feels like winning. So you never stop to ask the question that actually matters, which is why a thing you cured keeps coming home. Now there is a plain oatmeal rinse my family used on the working dogs, and it costs you pennies, and it calms an angry hide as well as anything in a store bottle. I'll give it to you. But I'll tell you straight, that rinse is not the real lesson today. The rinse is the easy half. The real lesson is learning to read why the skin keeps breaking open in the first place. Because the wash only earns its keep once you know what you're washing and why. I came up tending working dogs and barn animals. I learned skin and coat the slow way, by hand, from my father and the older men in our community, watching what they watched for and listening to what they could tell from across a yard. So here's what I'm going to give you. A rinse you can mix from 3 things already in your kitchen, and 4 signs that tell you whether a wash is even the right answer at all, or whether this dog in front of you needs more than soap and water can give. Because nobody teaches you the second part. The wash is the easy half. Knowing when not to reach for it is the half that saves your dog. Let me start with the thing you have to understand before any wash makes sense. Skin that flares, clears, and comes back on a schedule is almost never just dry skin. The skin is the largest organ a dog has, and it's one of the first places a problem on the inside shows itself on the outside. A one-time hot spot from a coat that stayed wet is one thing. A problem that returns is a different animal. It almost always has something underneath driving it. Find that driver or you'll be washing the same ear until the dog is gray. So let me walk you through the 4 things that usually sit underneath. Read these before you reach for any bottle. The first is parasites, fleas and mites, and I want you to hear this number because it surprises people. Flea allergy dermatitis is the single most common skin disease in dogs in this country. Not one of many, the most common. And here's the part that fools folks. In a dog that's become sensitive to flea saliva, it doesn't take an infestation. It takes a small handful of bites. You can comb that dog and find almost nothing, because an allergic dog grooms the fleas off himself before you ever see them. And still he'll itch for weeks off what little got through. The tell is the map of it. Itching and hair loss running from the middle of the back to the base of the tail and down the back legs. The old hands call it the flea triangle. If the trouble lives there, you look at fleas first, no matter how clean the coat looks. Mange, which is mites, is the other parasite you rule out. The second is allergies, the environmental kind and the food kind, what the vets call atopic dermatitis. The giveaway here is the calendar. If it comes back the same weeks every year, the same turn of the season, you're likely looking at something in the air. Pollen, grass, the world waking up or shutting down. A food allergy doesn't keep a calendar. It runs all year, steady, because the dog eats the same thing all year. The third is yeast and bacteria, and this one is almost always a passenger, not the driver. There's a yeast called Malassezia that lives on every healthy dog right now, yours included. It causes no trouble at all until the skin's already broken or the spot stays warm and damp, and then it blooms. That's your sour, bready smell. That's the greasy, thickened skin. It loves the ears, the paws, the folds, the warm, hidden places. But hear me, the yeast didn't start the fire. It moved into a house that was already burning. Treat only the yeast and you've swept the floor while the roof's still open. The fourth is the one a wash will never, ever touch. and it's the one I most need you to know about. Hormonal trouble, and the common one is an underactive thyroid, hypothyroidism. When that gland slows down, the coat goes dull, the hair thins and falls, often in matching patches across both sides of the body and along the tail, and it grows back slow or not at all. You'll see skin infections that keep returning no matter what you do. And here's the detail that separates it from everything else I've named. On its own, thyroid skin trouble usually doesn't itch much. The dog isn't frantic. He's tired. He's heavier than he should be. He's hunting the warm spot in the house, lying by the stove in a season that doesn't call for it. It shows up more in middle-aged dogs and in the bigger breeds. No rinse on earth fixes a thyroid. Only a blood test and your vet do. So now you can see the real question. It was never which wash. It's which of those four is driving the thing. Which brings me to when a wash is the right tool and when it is flatly the wrong one. A good rinse genuinely earns its place. It calms mild irritation. It takes the edge off the itch while you and your vet chase down the real cause. It supports a dog through recovery alongside proper treatment. It keeps a coat clean and decent. Those are real jobs, and the wash does them well. But here is the list that matters more. The signs that mean you stop washing and you go see somebody. Open sores or pus. A patch that's spreading fast under your eye. Real pain when you touch it. Hair coming out in matching patterns on both sides. A foul smell that won't clear no matter how often you bathe him. A dog that's gone off his food, or just gone quiet and miserable in himself. And the biggest one of all, the thing this whole video circles around. Anything that comes back within a few weeks of every single wash. The coming back is itself the red flag. A problem that keeps returning is a problem with a root you haven't pulled. And I'll be straight with you, the way I always am, because you deserve it on a subject like this. I am not going to stand here and tell you a cup of oatmeal cures mange. It doesn't. I'm not going to tell you it fixes a thyroid or clears a deep infection. It can't. And the man who tells you it can is costing your dog the one thing you can't buy back, which is the time you spent trusting the wash instead of finding the cause. Now the wash itself, the one my family used. It's colloidal oatmeal, which is a long name for something plain. You take ordinary rolled oats and you grind them fine as flour, or you buy it already ground as colloidal oatmeal. And this is the one ingredient in this whole video that I can put real backing behind. Oatmeal has been laid on irritated skin for centuries, going back thousands of years, and it isn't folklore. The science caught up to the grandmothers. Back in 2003, the FDA recognized colloidal oatmeal as a genuine skin protectant. The soothing comes from compounds in the oat called avenanthramides, and what they do is quiet the inflammation and calm the itch. That's not me being poetic. That's what they found when they looked. You steep the ground oats in warm water until you've got a milky rinse. If you want, a small splash of apple cider vinegar well watered down. But hear this clearly. Never the vinegar on broken, raw, or open skin. It will sting and it will set the dog back and you'll have done harm where you meant to help. On angry but unbroken skin, fine. On an open sore, never. To use it, warm water, work the milky rinse down into the coat and onto the skin. Let it sit a few minutes so it can do its quiet work. Then rinse him clean and pat him dry. And don't overdo it. This is where good intentions go wrong. Wash a dog too often and you strip the natural oils right out of his coat. And you leave the skin drier and angrier than you found it. More is not better here. More is worse. And the honest scope, because I owe you that on this, just like everything else. The rinse soothes. It calms. It helps that broken barrier hold together while it heals. It does not kill a single mite. It does not cure an allergy. It does not clear an infection or wake a sleeping thyroid. It's comfort and support. It is not a cure, and I won't dress it up as one. So what actually cuts the coming back? Prevention. And it's plainer than you'd hope. Steady year-round flea and parasite control, because that's the single biggest lever on the single most common cause, and most folks only reach for it in summer when the trouble lives all 12 months. Good food and a real effort to rule out what he might be reacting to, drying him down thorough in the folds and after every rain and every swim, because damp is what the yeast waits for. And keep a plain log of when the flares hit, just dates. Because that pattern, the season, the timing, the spot, is the very thing that lets a vet find the root fast. And finding it fast is cheaper than another year of buying shampoo and treating the same ear over and over. So let me leave you with the one thing worth carrying out of here. The wash is the comfort. It was never the cure. The real skill, the thing that actually ends the cycle, is learning to read the dog in front of you. The spot, the season it shows, the smell when you lift the ear. Whether he's itching or whether he's just tired and seeking the warm corner. That's the knowledge that saves him, and now it's yours. If you want more of the old, plain ways of caring for animals, passed down by hand the way I got them and not pulled out of a book, subscribe and stay with me. Next time I'll show you how to read a dog's coat and his weight to catch trouble before it ever surfaces on the skin.